Hey there, it is improved initiative time. Let me get this out the way. So this time we're going to go over setting up some extra options to make everything go smoother. So we're going to hit this bar to expand the options. You don't have to hit it, but I'm hitting it so you can see what these buttons do. And we are going to go to settings and to commands. And this will have a bunch of stuff that are useful to us. These are my recommended settings you should do, in case you haven't read the title. So here we have roll dice, and I'm going to show you what they do as we go through them. You can roll dice by clicking on these numbers of pluses to them, but you might spontaneously want to roll a dice. So the setting that just appeared here, whenever I check one of these circles, it makes a setting appear. If I save, it'll disappear now that I clicked off of it. If I click here and save, it'll reappear. And this will let us roll an arbitrary dice. It could be 1d20. It'll tell us the result. I think you can do a plus to this. Yep, you can. I'm not sure if it lets you do arithmetic. I guess we're both about to learn. Two, six, doesn't look like it. Let's put a letter in here for fun. Of course, you can roll multiple dice. Maybe you have a bunch of enemies attacking, so I could do 10, d20. And if for some reason you are getting into some shenanigans or just want to be funny, you can roll an arbitrary number. So if I roll 10d7, 10 seven-sided dice, it'll follow that command correctly. I'm actually curious if I can do 1d6 plus 1d4. Oh, you can. No, it just does +1. It doesn't parse after that. But wouldn't that be funny? So in summary, in case that sequence was confusing, you can do a dice. You can do multiple dice. You can give it a bonus or malus. It should let you do a minus number. That would be funny if it didn't. And the dice do not have to be the basic polyhedral set. You can do 1d3, 1d7, 1d100. The next setting we will go over, I'm actually going to, no, that's out of order. The next session we will go over is the previous turn setting. So a common mistake I'll have when running an encounter for me is I'll hit next turn on accident. Like I'll hit next turn and then I'll hit next turn again. And if you get into this problem, you can just hit the previous turn button. This, for some reason, this isn't here by default. There's move up and move down, but that just moves the combatant in the initiative order. It still keeps them selected. So that's a nice setting to have. It only shows up when you start an encounter, by the way. So if you save the setting and you don't see it, don't worry, just start an encounter and see if it showed up. This command is another command that's strangely missing. This is going to be the temporary health command. If you're thinking about it, last video you might have been, oh, how do I do temporary HP? You showed literally everything except temporary HP, even mentioned this apply healing button here. So yes, we can apply temporary HP, and these, the combat commands, have a special thing called inline. And what this does is this places it next to the monster's name, where you'll see the tag and toggle visibility buttons. So if I hit save and continue, I can give Alkali here, hello, temporary hit points. And if you go to the settings, it will tell you that temporary hit points follow 5th edition rules. If you already have temporary HP, it won't stack. So if I give him 4 temporary HP, it won't do anything. And if I give him 10, since that's higher, it'll automatically take it. So that's definitely an important command to have. I don't think when I run it, I put it over here on the side, but that's helpful to do. If you hit control, you can select multiple people. And then we can give them all temporary HP at the same time. Alkali didn't get it because he is superior and already has +10. But if we gave them both some even better temp HP, you would see it actually works. So my next setting will be reactions and a reaction tracker. This comes in 2 parts. I'm going to put inline toggle spent reaction, and what's going to happen is nothing. We get this button, yes, but nothing happens if I click it. And that is because we need to go to the right of commands to options and hit the reaction tracker. I recommend putting this in the player view too. So now if it has this symbol, they have their reaction. The nice thing about the reaction tracker, let's say the servant uses their reaction to give Alkali a plate of delicious food. Well, Alkali takes his turn to eat the food and wants more, and luckily when it's servant's turn, servant gets their reaction back. So line means no reaction, arrow means reaction. It automatically refreshes when the person's turn begins. And if I go to the player view, since I told it to show in the player view, you can see that Alkali does not have his reaction. Servant, the bar here with servant is empty, so it does. So this setting, we're now in the options menu. This setting, oh, I skipped one. Quick add combatant. That's a helpful thing to have. It lets you just add an arbitrary combatant. They have hit points, AC, you give them an initiative. That's their bonus to initiative. You can see I put 2 and now it's +2. This is useful if you didn't make a stat block for someone. Do you want to sit down and write a whole stat block? No? Well, add this guy. You'll have to remember what his pluses are. Much easier if you're rolling in real life, but you can also just roll the dice. Let's say he has +2 to dexterity. 1d20. Let's say he just has +2 proficiency too. Bam. Oh, he rolled a nat 1. Happened to me when I played D&D too. I don't think there's any way to mass add this. I don't know why it made him an adult black dragon. Oh, that's quick edit. Let's go back to quick add. I kind of wish there's a way to add multiple of these at once in case someone casts the floating object spell. But that's not too bad. going to type some things to get rid of this window. I wish there's a cancel button. So now we can get roll for HP. Currently, let's end the encounter. No matter how many of these I summon, they have the same HP. If you are like me and you don't like this, you can have a monster roll for HP. We can see here an Aboleth has 18d10 plus 36 HP. And if we want them to roll that, instead of taking the average, I'll show you the average real quick, which is this number here. Then we go to settings, we go to options, and we have roll HP for combatants from stat block. And now we will see the Aboleth has various HP. You might want to rename, let's say this Aboleth is some known villain. You might want to rename them and then save an encounter with only them in it, if they're a recurring character. Otherwise, their health will vary from combat to combat, and no one will notice, but you will know, and it's kind of funny. Just in case, I'll show you how to do that. These two I didn't roll for HP for, obviously, but you just hit this save encounter button, go to encounter, then you can click it again, and look, it keeps the name. It even keeps whose reaction was used, so let's actually give them back their reaction. So next we have the boss and minion buttons. I don't think I've ever used these, but these are cool to have, I think. They're interesting. So around here there should be a button for bosses and minions. I think it might be an option. Here we go. Show boss and minion buttons. A minion has 1 health, and a boss has max health. An Acolyte has 2d8 HP. The max on that is 16. So if I roll a boss, instead of rolling for HP, it'll always be 16. Minion just gives it a health. If I make a adult dragon, it'll have 1 HP. If I make an Acolyte, it'll have 1 HP. The boss thing might be useful if you decide you have a pair of enemies, but one of them's the enemy's older brother. So you could have some apes, and then you have a big ape. And you might use the minions if you have a lot of combatants, but you don't intend for them to take more than 1 hit to kill. You swing a sword at them, they are dead. Negative hit points is next on our list. I allow negative hit points because if a player just so happens to take a crap ton of damage, they could instantly die. It's not a likely thing that can happen, but it could. It's also helpful because it's funny. Sometimes an enemy will die to something funny, or a player just hits them with a crit, or they're just an annoying enemy for you or the players. You make them take hundreds of damage. Of course, this presents a problem because if I heal this enemy for some reason, I put it negative, they have to heal through all these negative hit points, and that's most annoying with players, because players, of course, will get negative hit points. So I'll just negate that and then heal them. Excuse me. I do think it's nice. You fireball someone with 2 health left and their health goes ultra negative or something like that. I've always liked that effect in video games. This is one, if you're watching, Emmy, if a certain bard is watching, they will like. And that is an encounter summary. It is over here. We can set both, encounter, player. Let's do both. So let's say I start encounter. Roll initiative. The servant takes its turn. Tries to stab someone. Rolls a 9. I guess that would be 11. Make sure you hit the next turn button so this tracks correctly. This is where the next turn button becomes important, by the way, because it'll reset the reactions. It'll help the encounter tracking. Alkali bites someone twice. Let's pretend multi-attack works like that. And then the servant tries to stab someone. Oh, look, that hit. And that the person finishes, the servant finishes them off. End of encounter. It will show how long combat lasted, and it will show the average time it took each person's turn. Right now, combat's just the DM because I don't have any players, but if I go to this pane, let's put Shem in here. Shem didn't have a lot of HP last time. Let's heal them. The servant tries to stab Shem, doesn't work. Next turn, Alkali's like, should I acid breath this guy? Or should I just do a normal attack? Should I do more damage? Should I do less damage? Acid breath. Shem makes a dex save. Now, notice how this Shem is selected, but it's not on, Shem's not the active combatant. Right now, it's counting me, the DM's turn, instead of Shem's, even though I'm kind of just resolving an effect. Alkali rolls, deals 50 damage. Shem dies. If Shem doesn't die, they roll a death save. Shem's really spending a lot of time praying to the gods for a nat 1. Not a nat 1, a nat 20. Servant crit stabs him. The person fails their death save. Servant stabs them. Let's pretend this was a crit. Shem gets 2 death save failures and dies. End encounter. All right, so lesson learned, if you delete someone, then it won't track the time, apparently. That is not what I wanted to do. I want Shem back. So next turn, spend some time. Alkali's turn. End encounter. Shem participated in 1 round, averaging 2 seconds a round. All right, go away, Shem. Next, we're going to go over preloaded content. So right now, we just have the SRD monsters. This isn't the monster manual. These are just monsters that come with the free versions of D&D. It's not a... Well, it is a kind of large selection. And there's monsters for all of the SRD spells. So if you're a necromancer, there's like the zombies and everything. I think there's most of the beasts. Any beasts that are in the monster manual, I'm pretty sure are here. There's not beasts in Volo. There's none of the beasts from Volos or anything, though, if you want more dinosaurs to turn into. There's elementals, a sparse few devils and demons. But if you want more pre-made content, you can go to content and check these boxes. I like Tome of Beasts, Monster Menagerie, Creature Codex. I don't really know what any of these are other than the 5e core rules. So these are the SRD monsters. But if you save and close, you'll see these will get added. So we'll have some extra things. I think there's a few creatures in the Creature Codex that got remade. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Not a Revenant, a Banshee? No, it's not the Banshee? Well, there's extra creatures. You can see there is a Cockatrice. There's Cockatrice in the monster manual, but... Ah, wait, it is core rules. Never mind. Well, I'd have an example. You can go and improve the initiative and see the examples for yourself. Let me make sure I actually added the content. I did. Oh, this is a good time to show off. You can sort by the source. I can see it didn't, in fact, load these because I have to reload. And yeah, you can immediately see that there are some weird things. I don't know what a Bassie is. Some kind of giant, a Bassie, abominable snowman. Can look at something and they become cold. There we go. You have to reload to get these in. And the final thing I'm going to teach is importing and exporting stat blocks. I'll take a quick look through the options in case there's something else interesting, but that's all the important things. If you can see these options for yourself and now you know how to go through them. You can also set things like, I think the final thing I like to set personally, we have creature and NPC verbosity, and then we have player HP verbosity. So currently, Servant and Alkali, these are creatures. So all you see is that they're healthy. If they take damage, they are going to be hurt. We do 10, not that much. And if they have less than half health, they're going to be bloodied. There's no state where the enemy is almost dead. I like to call it out if an enemy only has like 5 or 6 HP. It's hard to track if an enemy's almost dead, even with the verbosity here. And as funny as it is for someone to use, I don't know, even just an inflict wounds on someone who has 2 health left. I'd prefer it if they didn't. So of course for players, it's going to show their actual health. So we see it's 0. This only marginally helps, but I think it helps. Players will see this number. Very important as a DM to realize this is happening. Players will see this number and they will believe this number. And they will not keep track of their health themselves. Because why would they? You're keeping track of it. Why would they keep track of it? So this leads to unfortunate situations where you might take for granted that the players are keeping track of their health. Maybe you type in something wacky on accident. You're like, oops, how much health did you have before? Let's say this isn't here, it gets overridden by something else. And the player's like, what do you mean? I don't know. Well, what I do is go to options. And I go to player character, damage taken. Which gives the player some useful information. Right now they've taken 0 damage. They take 3. They can see how quickly they're being eaten away at. as the round goes by, but they're still encouraged to keep track of their health. So I turned that on. Might be better just to hide it. But it's also nice that everyone gets to see their health, you know? All right, now actually for the final thing, exporting content. If I press this button, it's going to export the data as a JSON file. And it's just going to be called Improved Initiative 3. So let's say something happens. Well, you might ask, how does Improved Initiative store all of this? Well, it caches it in your web browser. So if for some silly reason you clear your cache, you lose everything. Custom monsters, whatever. So now that we saved, let's make a new monster real quick and save again. Let's pretend we spent an hour making John's stat block and a 1,000 other stat blocks. Such a powerful character we've made. And you clear your cache. And here you can clear all local data. It does this nice little thing so that you don't accidentally delete it all. It's going to make us go through the tutorial. This does have a tutorial if you prefer that to me talking. I don't think we quite exported it, but I'm going to import something anyway. We click import stat block, spells, and counters from JSON. If you hit replace, it's going to overwrite everything. If you hit import, we can go to downloads. We can open this. Did I save it? I don't think I did. But if I did, John would be here. We can go to encounters though. It still saves your encounters. It doesn't save your settings, annoyingly enough. So hopefully you weren't deleting things and following along. That would be really funny. So that's it. Those are the recommended settings you do. Enjoy. Next up is how to make a monster.